Adumo Adom Arakwa, believers all the way, Philadelphia, and I believe wherever you are, you've responded. Adishakonkron. Beloved partakers of the heavenly calling, you once again welcome to another edition of the Friday Sermon Summary. I'm your usual presenter, your brother, Kyei-Duah. But without much ado, as I always do, I'd like to extend greetings to our Father, Stephen Adum Kyei-Duah, the voice of God. Daddy, may God continue to bless you and give you more strength to be able to continue with his good works. And not forgetting our mom, Adum Kyei-Duah, the first. Mommy, may God bless you too for your unfringing support. Not forgetting our wonderful viewers, those watching us on Second Chance TV, those on our mobile app, and all those watching us on our various free social media platforms. We say, Adum, may bless you all. And also to our wonderful listeners, those seated by their frequency modulators and are listening to us on our various FM stations, we say, Adum Nyame bless you all as you stay glued to your set to listen to the word being presented in a summary by his servant, Kyei-Duah. May we proceed on to what transpired. Today, the voice of God began his sermon by talking about the whereabouts of Jesus Christ. Today, many seem to be searching for Jesus Christ. We've been moving from prayer camp to prayer camp. We've been moving from places to places just in search for Jesus Christ. But today, Stephen Adum Kyei-Duah, the voice of God, wants us to know that Jesus Christ is not far from us. He is not far-fetched, but rather he is resident within us. He stays right within us. But the only problem is misunderstanding. He likened this misunderstanding to the relation between married couples. Married couples, as we all know, are supposed to live together. They benefit from each other. They communicate with each other, even though they live in the same room. But today, we happen to live in this same body with Christ, but are not benefiting from him. All because of misunderstanding. Or simply because of misunderstanding. Because of misunderstanding, married couples who seem to have misunderstanding between them do not talk with each other. And they become like spinsters, even in the same room. They do not talk with each other. So this Stephen Adum Kyei-Duah, the voice of God, likened our relationship with Christ as a married couple who do not have understanding between them and living in the same room. Christ is staying, residing right within us. But because we have misunderstood him, that is why we seem to be searching for him here and there, and he doesn't also respond to our call. Misunderstanding. So that is the major problem which has come between we and Christ, and we have not been able to identify where he is. So Stephen Adum Kyei-Duah, the voice of God today, told us that Jesus Christ resides right within us. And we have to take note of this, that in this world, everything operates by principles, by terms and conditions, or by formats. And as such, if you do not go by these terms and principles, or these principles or the terms and conditions, you will definitely deviate. And that is why we Christians, we've not been able to also benefit from the goodies of Christ. We have deviated. We are not following the terms or the principles being given to us by Christ. But Christ on earth, as Stephen Adum Kyei-Duah, the voice of God, said, Christ whilst on earth did a lot of demonstrations for us to be able to know what he is capable of doing. He did a lot of demonstrations. And when living, he said, if we truly love him, then we are to obey his commands. We were to obey his commands. So Christ can easily judge us. Christ can easily know if we truly love him or not by checking the commands that he gave to us. That are we obeying his commands? Are we going by his commands, what he told us to be doing, and we are not doing? No wonder we are not benefiting from Christ. Stephen Adum Kyei-Duah proceeded to talk about the church of today. According to Stephen Adum Kyei-Duah, the voice of God, the church of today has blinded men. The church has blinded men. The church, which was supposed to be a place where we go to worship God, the church is now blinding men and taking men away from Christ. Instead of teaching us about the good ways, the principles of Christ, the church is rather teaching us the opposite. The church is now teaching us the opposite. The church has now become an establishment for pastors. It is their personal property, and they do whatever they like with the church. You see, Christianity is supposed to be the exhibition of the nature of Christ. We are supposed to exhibit the nature of Christ. But the church of today, the pastors have trained us in such a way that we are rather deviating from the right principles, from the right ways or the right practices which we are supposed to exhibit before men. So Stephen Adom-Kyei-Duah took his time to talk about the Philadelphia movement and show us how different the Philadelphia movement is from the church of today. According to Stephen Adom-Kyei-Duah, the Philadelphia movement is not a church as the churches out there. No, it is rather a movement. And the sole responsibility of every movement is to rescue or to redeem men. A movement is a rescue team. A movement is filled with members who are in there to rescue others from the dungeon. So the sole responsibility of the movement is to rescue people in despair, to bring people out of their calamities. So this is a rescue mission movement. And with such a movement, what the leader seeks to do is to practice leadership by example. He, the leader, whatever he teaches or whatever he does, he teaches us to do, he practices it for us to know its effects, its ripple effect, so he can point to himself as an example, and we also learn from him. So what the movement does, what the movement of Stephen Adom-Kyei-Duah, the voice of God, the Philadelphia movement seeks to do, is to bring self-realization to men, is to cause men to come back to their senses, the things, the good morals that we were supposed to have embraced, which the pastors have taught us to leave aside. Those are the things that Stephen Adom-Kyei-Duah is teaching us for us to come to our senses, to rather go back to embrace those good practices taught us by Jesus Christ. So there exists a big difference between the Philadelphia movement and the churches out there. Whilst the pastors out there seeks for us to look up to them, they have become like intermediaries between us and God. And whatever we want from God, we should rather look up to them. That is what the churches out there looks for. No. But in the Philadelphia movement, rather, Stephen Adom-Kyei-Duah, who happens to be the leader, is on a rescue mission, helping us to come to our senses so that we will be able to have that direct contact with God. He is not an intermediate between us and God for us to be looking up to him. Today, in the churches, what the men in churches seek to do is to be able to draw the attention of the pastor. Because the pastors have positioned themselves in such a way that they are our protectors. They have positioned themselves, they have assumed the position as being our caretakers, our protectors, that they believe other powers are out there which would be able to harm men, so they are our only source of refuge. So men out there in the churches look up to their pastors for rescue. So what they seek to do in the church is rather for them to be recognized by their pastor and not God. They look out to be recognized by the pastors and not God. And this is what Stephen Adom-Kyei-Duah stands against. He came to help men come back to their senses so that we'll be able to embrace the good Christian practices, that we will be able to have that direct contact with Christ and not to look up to any other man. From here, Stephen Adom-Kyei-Duah asks us to open our Bibles to Matthew chapter 10, verse 28, and I take it from the Bible. Matthew chapter 10, verse 28. Do not be afraid of those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather, be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell. According to Stephen Adom-Kyei-Duah, the voice of God, when the men of God read this, just the A part, that do not be afraid of those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul, they stood upon this and made us believe, and made Christians believe that there are other powers, there are other authorities out there who can cause death to men, who can kill men. And as such, they are the only souls. They have that direct contact with God, and as such, they can be our rescuers. They will be having these prayer warriors who will be able to pray for us, to intercede on our behalf. This is what the other men, because of misunderstanding, misinterpretation of the Bible, this is what they taught us. Misunderstanding. This is what they taught us, to cause us for us to rather be looking up to them and not God. So in order to be able to siphon from us, they made us pay tithe, they made us pay our harvest, they made us make big offerings, just in order to be able to draw their attention to us, so that they will also be able to siphon from us. But instead of them to have taught us the right way, they caused us to rather look up to them. Stephen Adom-Kyei-Duah talked about the story of Job and the temptation which he faced. According to Stephen Adom-Kyei-Duah, the voice of God, as being written in the Bible, Job, before Satan could even harass Job, who can caused us to die. And as such, in an attempt to seek for refuge, we believed in such men of God and followed their teachings, and they have led us astray. So Satan doesn't have the power to be able to kill your soul, but he only has the power to be able to cause pain to your body. In like manner, Stephen Adom continued to talk about this same death, that's the death to the body. He explained that in the Garden of Eden, when God told Adam that, Adam, you can eat of every fruit in this garden, but of the fruit of life and death, if you eat of it, you will die. God used the word die. But the question is, after he and Eve ate of the fruit, did they physically die? No, it's an expression. The Bible is full of proverbs, and they are being spoken to the wise. And you need to be able to interpret these proverbs from a wise son. Somebody like Stephen Adom, the voice of God, who can give you the right interpretation of such words in the Bible. The meaning that the God using the word dead for Adam and Eve after eating the fruit didn't mean they would physically die. Satan gave them a different. God is lying to them, and that when they eat of the fruit, they will become as wise as God. So they also ate. And the consequences wasn't that they were going to physically die, but they went through hardship. They faced hardship in their life. So that is the meaning of the death body, that Satan can cause death to the body. That is the meaning, that he will cause you to go through pain, sorrow, hardship, the failures, and whatever. So Stephen Adom asks me to ask you this question, that check your personal life. Check your life. Are you going through failures? Are you going through disappointments? Are you going through hardship or problems? We have to check our life to see, is our body dead? Are we dead? Is Satan afflicting these things onto us? Are we dead? That is the question over here. We have to check if we've deviated from the right path of God. Is there that misunderstanding between us and Jesus Christ? No wonder we are going through all these problems. So Stephen Adom went on to talk about the thief. What Jesus said, that the thief only come to steal, to kill, and to destroy. What does the thief comes to steal? Stephen Adom explained by saying that the thief comes to steal our spirit. And what is the spirit? The spirit is our belief. That Satan comes in through his men who claim to be pastors to teach us to believe in all the existence of other powers. So that is how the Satan steals us. He causes us to believe in other things aside the power of God, aside the supremacy of God. He causes us to believe in other things, the existence of other powers, who could inflict pain on us, who could cause our death. That is what the Satan comes to do. The Satan comes to steal. He comes to steal our spirit, our belief. So no wonder we will die, or no wonder you go through affliction or pains, and your own members, your own relatives can tell you point blank that this is as an orchestration by a different power, or is an orchestration or a dream by an enemy, because our spirit has been stolen by Satan. And the next is, Satan comes in to kill. What does Satan come to kill? He comes to kill your body. Your body. Killing your body, as already explained by Stephen Adom, the voice of God, is the infliction of pain, infliction of sorrow, the various disappointments that you go through with this body. That is the killing of your body, your personality. You go through hardship, you go through pain, you become a hustler. If you get to believe in those assertions by Satan, that is when he steals your soul. And when you are able to believe in those things and he steals your soul, the next thing which follows is he kills your body. He makes you become a hustler. You work in vain. You work and wouldn't be seeing the fruit of your labor. He makes you go through hardship and sorrow, troubles. And the last thing that he does is to destroy you. So he comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy. The destroying is he destroys your soul. God would not have any need of your soul again, because you have deviated from his path. So that is the meaning of Satan coming in to steal, to kill, and to destroy. How the body is killed. The body, as said by Stephen Adom, is the temple of God. So instead of us to use this body to glorify God, we rather use it to glorify other powers. What Adam and Eve did that caused them to die was that the glory of God departed from them. The glory of God departed from them, and as such, they were not benefiting from the garden of aid again. They were not benefiting from that place again. They were sacked out of that place because that place had the glory of God. So whenever we allow Satan into our lives and then we get to believe in his naysayings, that is when we also lose the glory of God. And as such, he gets that opportunity to be able to inflict pain, torture, sorrow on us. So this is why the Bible says we should not be afraid of what others can do against the body. I said in the verse 28 that do not be afraid of those who kill the body but cannot kill the soul. So as believers, as Christians, today Stephen Kyei-Duah is admonishing us that we should not be afraid of anybody who can inflict pain on this body. Anybody who will seek to inflict pain, who will seek to undermine you, who will seek to be backbiting you, we should not be rather afraid of them. No. Because they don't have authority, they don't have power over our soul. All that they have is the power over our bodies. So we should not be afraid of them, but rather we should rather be afraid of God, who can kill both the body and the soul. So Stephen Kyei-Duah advice: as Christians, we do not have enemies. We do not have anybody as our enemy, but rather what we are supposed to do is to change of our old ways. We are to change of those primitive mindsets and to make us, so that will make us unique. We are not supposed to see anybody as our enemy. No, they are not our enemies, but rather we are to use our good morals, our good cultural practices in Christianity. We are to use that to oppose those practices which rather fight against our body. According to Stephen Kyei-Duah, today, because of these practices being taught to us by the pastors, by the men of God, today as Christians we are improper and we become so wicked. Some of us have even failed to take care of our own parents. The things that we used to do, we used to help the family, we used to help our relations, but the pastors have made us believe that our hardship, the orchestrations against us are from these family members. They are from our co-workers. They are from our relatives, and as such we become so wicked that we do not take care of them. We have become so wicked, some go to the extent of not even visiting their own hometowns. At the point of, most of us do not talk with even our relations again, all because of the things that we've heard from these men of God, these so-called pastors. We have rather moved away from the family, and we become so wicked, we do not think about them again. We only seek to see for their death. We only want to see their death. We would go to the extent of praying, cursing. So Stephen Kyei-Duah talked of how different Christians of today from the other world. How different are we from the people of the world today? A worldly person would curse somebody when a person goes against him or her. But what do you as a Christian also do? You also go about to curse such a person. You go into the church to rather pray, breaking, binding such people. We go about firing heavenly musketries against such people because we become so wicked. Because we've been trained to pay one in that tit for tat mentality. We have been given that mentality of tit for tat. We pay people in their own coin as Christians. These were the teachings that were given to us by the men, the so-called pastors. But today, Stephen Kyei-Duah, the voice of God, is telling us as Christians, this is not what we are supposed to do. We do not have enemies. We should rather see men who would rather physically work against us as our brethren. Just as Christ said, we should even pray and bless such people. We should bless them. And the very point where they stood to curse or to talk about us, that is the very point they would stand to glorify the name of the Lord. So as Christians, we are to see those people not as our enemies. They are not our enemies. Just as people would be trying to assassinate your character. Stephen Kyei-Duah, the voice of God, has gone through such things so many years. For so many years, people have been trying to undermine his character. They've been trying to assassinate his character, meaning they've been trying to kill his hard-earned reputation. They've been trying to kill his hard-earned reputation. But what does he do? He rather doesn't curse such people. He rather doesn't go about insulting such people. No, he doesn't become angry with such people. No, but rather he sees them as his brethren, as taught by Christ, that we are to rather love such people and even bless such people. That is what he, Stephen Adom seeks to do. So he lives an exemplary life for we Philadelphians to emulate the good steps that he is living. What the pastors were supposed to have done were to have taught us to rather embrace the good Christian practices, respecting the elderly, respecting our parents, helping them, treating them good, treating them well, treating everybody good, loving each other. These are the good Christian practices that we were supposed to have embraced and practiced, so that people will get to know the God that we serve. From here, Stephen Adom asks us to open our Bibles to Matthew chapter 10, verse 34 and 35. And I take it from the Bible. Do not suppose that I have come to bring peace to the earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. 35. For I have come to turn a man against his family, a daughter against his mother, a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And wonderfully enough, he, Christ, saying that Jesus says we should not fear. At this same juncture, he's also saying he did not bring peace. And just as Stephen Adom said last week, the Bible is full of proverbs which needs to be interpreted by the wise. Just as a proverb is being said to a wise child, you need to be able to decipher the true meaning of the Bible. Otherwise, you end up misinterpreting Jesus Christ. Jesus, even though he said this, he meant that, according to Stephen Adom, Jesus meant that. We came to meet a family. We were born into a family. We were raised in a family. No wonder we were taught our language by the family in which we were born into. If you were Akan, you speak Tree. If you are from Europe, you will definitely speak English. So we came to embrace certain cultures in our family. And this is the culture that once you become a Christian, once you've been born again to become a Christian, these are the mentalities that would rather be fighting against you. Your family believes in the existence of witches. They believe in curses. They believe in other powers which exist. But once you become a Christian, you have come to embrace a new culture, a culture which doesn't support these ideologies. And these are the things that rather would be fighting against you. And this is where Christ says he has brought a sword between us. But we are not supposed to be fighting. What we have to do is to respond with our good Christian practices, our good Christian manners. That is what Stephen Adom, the voice of God, is telling us today. That this is the meaning of this quotation. That we are not supposed to be fighting, to be rebelling against our in-laws. We are not supposed to be rebelling against our family members. But rather, what we have to do is to rather use our good Christian practices. They should fight against you, but rather you are to love them. You are to show them love. You are to pray for them. And in so doing, just as a light is not a lamp, is not lighted and placed under a bed, it should be placed. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. We are to make our lives shine so that the worldly people or those with those mentalities, those ideas, the family in which we came from, they will be able to know that truly our God do exist. And he does exist indeed. So what we are supposed to do is that we are to use good moral practices to counter these primitive ideas. We are to bless them, not to see them as our enemies, but rather we are also to pray for them. There are other assertions, such as we come into a family and then there are so many assertions, such as if something doesn't exist, then we wouldn't have to close our doors when we go to sleep. These are assertions in the family. And others saying that if you pull a rope and it's not coming, that means there's an obstacle. There is something pulling it at the other end. Beloved partakers of the heavenly calling, these are the things that we came to meet. These are the beliefs that we came to meet. But once we become Christians, we should not be equally yoked with them. Just as said in 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14, the last verse that Stephen Adom, the voice of God, asks us to read, that we should not be equally yoked with them. The fact that they believe in those things doesn't mean we are in the same family, so we should believe in those things. No. And we are also not supposed to be fighting against them. No. But rather, we are to show them love, kindness, and even bless them. We are to take care of them as believers, as believers, we are to make sure we take care of them, even though we are not supposed to be equally yoked with them, not believe in those assertions of them. So Stephen Adumichedu, the voice of God today, ended by saying that do away with negativity in your mind. We are to do away with all forms of negativity, those bad practices that were taught to us by our pastors, that we were to pray, breaking, fighting, firing heavenly musketries against people that we presume to be our enemies. Jesus Christ is saying we are to love our enemies. We are to even bless them, and we are to even pray for them. These are the expectations of Jesus Christ from us. So Stephen Adumichedu, the voice of God, says we are to do away with these negativities. That time is up and he will honor us. The time is up that God is ready to honor us. The time is up that the Christ that we've been searching for, who lives right inside us, who resides right inside us, the time is up for him to bless us. So all we have to do is to embrace the good Christian practices, the love, the care. We are to embrace these practices and put them, let our light shine. Let us put them into practice so that other men out there will know that yes, our God truly exists. And God is also ready to bless us no matter the condition, no matter the situation. Just as Job went through, and in the end, God blessed him. So they will kill your body doesn't mean they can physically kill you, no, but rather they will inflict pain on your body. But you are supposed to respond with your good Christian morals. Until we meet again next week, it's bye-bye for now. But let's remember to keep the good works and the good ways from Stephen Adumichedu, and to learn of him, Stephen Adumichedu, and not to look up to him, but rather he practices the good work, the good deeds, so we are to emulate his good deeds. He came from a poor background, and today let's